When you travel across the country, you're looking for great parks, great coasters, but sometimes all you need is one great element, the one that tosses you out of your seat, crushes you into your seat, hangs you upside down, whips you to the side, or just makes your soul leave your body. Today, let's hop in the car, drive coast to coast, and find every state's best element. First, I want to thank my Patreons and my new member, Coaster Keen. If you want bonus access, bonus content, behind the scenes videos, a shout out when you join, and your name on this fancy Patreon screen, follow the link below and join. I only have one rule for this list. It has to be an element on an active coaster. I'm going to avoid defunct coasters, and I will try to avoid coasters that are standing but not operating. Alabama. I admit, I have not been on Rampage, but for the most part, when it comes to wooden coasters, it's hard to find that one element that stands out. So, let's go down to Foley and Tropic Falls, and that's where you'll find Rollin' Thunder. This is a Zamperla Thunderbolt, and it really is a mess of a coaster that has good elements. I think the best one is that vertical first drop. It doesn't stop or slow down, it just whips you over the top and you plummet to the ground, getting some good airtime. And you think it's going to be a great ride before the train starts to shake and you're in a battle the whole rest of the way. Alaska. They have one coaster, Aftershock, opening at the Alaska State Fair in 2021, and it's your typical fair coaster, an Interpark Super Cyclone, and these have a decent first drop if you're in the back row, so I guess by default, this is Alaska's best element. Arizona. We're about to get two new coasters at Mattel Adventure Park, but until those open, I have to go to Castles and Coasters and their headline coaster, Desert Storm. This Hopkins Looper from 1992 isn't much of a coaster, but it is very smooth and has two inversions. I think the second loop is the best element, this wrapping around another piece of track, adding a head chopper to the inversion. Arkansas. We gotta go to Magic Springs for this one, and there's only one element that stands out here, X-Coaster Skyloop. I've never gotten to ride one of these, but this element looks crazy, going up that vertical lift, the chain turning you upside down, and you barrel into an inversion and dive straight down back to the station. This is the only one in America and offers an experience you aren't gonna get anywhere else. California. I had no shortage of options here. You have Twisted Colossus Camelback, Ghost Riders drop off the mid-course, but I have to go to Magic Mountain and that Arrow 4D monster that greets everyone driving up to the park, X2. You know what I'm talking about. The first drop is absolutely mental. A face-first backwards dive over 200 feet, flip it on your back before you hit the ground. It's a lot of fun and one of the most chaotic moments on any coaster. Colorado. This poor state seems like it should have more than Lakeside and Elitch Gardens, but they got what they got, and when I look around the coasters at Elitch Gardens in downtown Denver, I gotta go with Sidewinder's first drop. This is a rarely open Aero shuttle loop, but if you sit in the back row, that drop off the station platform into that loop, that's one intense ejector moment. Connecticut. Here we have a state with two notable wooden coasters, one being Wooden Warrior at Quasi, and the other being Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds. Boulder Dash has a remarkable layout, riding on the side of a hill, but when we're talking about one element, it's hard to pick one, so I'm going with the grand finale. Once it comes off the mountain, it goes into a series of airtime hills that leads right back to the station, and from what I remember, it was pretty solid, but I definitely need to get back out there and get more rides on this. It's been 7 years. Delaware. There are no active coasters here, the state's just too small. Florida. Another stacked state. Do I go with the Mosasaurus Roll and Velocicoaster? Do I go with the Outer Bank on Iron Gwazi, or even the Barrel Roll Down Drop? Mako's 5-second airtime hill, Cosmic Rewind's launch. I'm sorry, but no. I'm gonna make a lot of people mad with this one, but I'm going with Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket's non-inverting loop. If you ride this in the back row, you rise out of your seat as you're going up. You're completely airborne as you crest and twist around, and you don't land till you bottom out. This element blew my mind the last time I rode it in 2021, and I hope to get back and get one more ride before it closes. Georgia. Up until a couple years ago, I'd be scouring Six Flags for something good. The Twisted Cyclone Ejector Drop, Goliath's Finale, pretty good options here, but ever since Air Force One opened, it's really no contest. This coaster is jam-packed with great elements, but the best one is the Double Up. Coming off a great Outer Bank, it gives you a sharp pop of ejector before doling out a powerful sustained dose of ejector. Not to mention, it bottoms out and flies into a barrel roll. There's no wonder, this is my number 3 coaster. Hawaii. There are no active coasters. Really, I don't know why so many people want to go here. Idaho. Obviously, we're focused on Silverwood, and they're two very good wooden coasters. They also have a giant inverted boomerang. I rode all of these, and there are some good options here, but let's go for a coaster that I've never ridden, Stunt Pilot, and let's point to its twisted airtime hill. Based on other Raptors with the same layout, this is the best part, combining sharp ejector airtime with laterals, and this does have a 10-car train, so maybe it's different, but I'm still willing to bet it's powerful and awesome and the best element in Idaho. Illinois. We have a mess of coasters to pick from at Six Flags Great America, and to me, it comes down to 3. Goliath's Zero-G Stall, Max Force's Launch, and my personal pick, Raging Bull's First Drop. I really wanted to pick Max Force, but then I think about sitting in the back row and getting flung over that first drop, and how that's one of my all-time favorite things, not just in the coaster world, but in life in general, and I can't not pick that. Make sure you're in the back row and just enjoy how insane that drop is. Indiana. We have Holiday World, we have Indiana Beach. These lineups are heavy with good wooden coasters, and those are hard to pick one good element. Voyage and Cornball Express are both great, but is there one amazing standout moment? Not really. But one Indiana Woody moment does stand out to me. The tree dive on Raven at Holiday World. This is near the end of the ride, and just when you think there can't be any more big drops, it hits you with one, and when you're in the back seat, it's bonkers. Iowa. We have Arnold's Park, we have Lost Island, we have Adventureland, and there's one coaster in the state that's jam-packed with awesome elements, and that's Monster. My favorite is the finish loop. This is right after the high overbank. It rises up a big hill and whips you back down to the ground, followed by a hang time-filled loop. I absolutely love that whip. So much lateral airtime, and throw in some sweet hang time, and you have the standout element on a ride jam-packed full of goodness. Kansas. Next year, they should open up Mattel Adventure Park, but for now, all they have is kids coasters, so I'm not going to pick from those. Kentucky. Focusing on Kentucky Kingdom, you have 2 top-tier coasters in the park, Storm Chaser and Lightning Run filled with airtime. But which one do I go with when it comes to the best element? Sorry RMC, chance wins here. I'm going with Lightning Run's finale. It all starts with Maverick-style turns right against the ground, followed by a run of sharp airtime hills, slamming into the final brakes. It's so strong it actually hurts, and that's when you know you have good airtime. Louisiana. Not much to choose from here, so let's look at Dixieland in Baton Rouge and Raging Cajun, their Vekoma Boomerang. No matter what boomerang you ride, the best element is always the backwards loop. That makes your stomach drop and is weirdly disorienting. Maine. I feel like I have to go with Excalibur as the state's premier coaster, but never having been to Funtown Splashtown USA, or even been to Maine for that matter, I'm not sure what element is the best. However, it does have an 82-foot straight drop, and I bet that's pretty sweet in the back row, so let's go with that. Maryland. This state has some random stuff scattered around, but the main focus is on Six Flags America, the home of an intimate mega coaster, a Premier Rides launch coaster, but I'm focusing on their Vekoma Flyer, Batwing, and the awesome vertical loop. You spin half this ride on your back, and going backwards headfirst into a loop while laying down, seeing that loop wrap around you as you go, that's so unique and cool. Massachusetts. It's gotta be something from Six Flags New England, and it's gotta be something from their big time 1-2 punch. Superman has an amazing layout, but for this one, I'm going to Wicked Cyclone's Double Down. This coaster does so much with so little, and the biggest highlight has to be that awesome double down about halfway through the ride. A quick pop of airtime, followed by a more sustained one, and one of the many reasons this is a top 5 coaster. Michigan. There's really just one good coaster in the whole state. Of course, I'm talking about Shivering Timbers, and I'm choosing the first 2 big camelbacks. Not quite as good as the camelbacks on another Woody we'll talk about later, but when the train flies over these and you're in the back row, it gives you some very nice B&M hyper-style airtime. Minnesota. I couldn't think of anything at Mall of America, so let's go to Valley Fair. Their best coaster is Renegade. Very rough, but full of good airtime moments. And I think the best moment is the drop off the first turnaround, leading into a speed hill. This kicks off a low to the ground section of the ride, throwing you out of your seat and building up speed for the rest of the course. Mississippi. There isn't much here, sadly, but they do have an SBF Visa called Rolling Thunder at Paradise Pier Fun Park, and I imagine whenever that hamster wheel flips, that's your best element. Missouri. 3 major parks in the state, and I'm heading for the best one, Silver Dollar City, and their best coaster, Time Traveler. It doesn't get much better than the first drop out the station in the back row. It's impossible to prep for. You're at the mercy of the ride, twisting sideways and falling 90 feet at 90 degrees. The ride is relatively mild for the most part, but that is one of the most insane moments on any coaster. Montana. They only have one coaster, and that's Flathead Lake Alpine Coaster, and I'm not going to pretend I can pick out the best element on that, so let's leave it be. Nebraska. All they have is 3 kiddie coasters, so they don't get to play. Nevada. We're looking at the coasters in Vegas and have some decent options, and I'm actually going to go with the awful Togo on this one, the Big Apple Coaster, and I personally really like that dive loop. It's something that's amazed me ever since I was a kid, seeing the train flip over and hang there, and even now it's pretty cool how drawn out it is, the one true highlight of an otherwise trash layout. New Hampshire. I'm focused on Canopy Lake Park here. Nothing on Yankee Cannonball stands out, so I'm looking to Untamed, the Gerstlauer Eurofighter, and that 97 degree, 72-foot drop. It's too bad this has over-the-shoulder restraints, but anytime you dive beyond vertical, you're gonna get thrown out of your seat. New Jersey. First, we gotta check if there's anything left in the state. Let's see if Richard Zimmerman left us anything to ride. Okay, I found a few. El Toro is still there, and that has one of my all-time favorite elements, the back-to-back camelbacks. If one dose of insane, powerful ejector airtime wasn't enough, it gives you one more for good measure. The first drop and Rolling Thunder Hill are also fantastic, but those camelbacks are so pure and perfect. New Mexico. Not much here, but there is that one theme park oasis called Cliffs in Albuquerque, and a very solid, albeit rough wooden coaster, New Mexico Rattler. It's got some good forces, but I can't think of one amazing element, so let's just call it that 75-foot twisted first drop. Again, ride this one in the back for maximum airtime and lateral whip. New York. A few parks here. You have the Coney Island Cyclone in New York City. Great Escape is there also. Not much to talk about there. So, let's go all the way to Buffalo and Six Flags Darien Lake. Ride of Steel is their headline coaster, and I think its best element is... No, not the straight track, the finale. It twists into two small bunny hops, a perfect way to toss you out of your seat as you slam to the final brakes. North Carolina. You gotta look at Carowinds, but you also have to consider, half this park is in North Carolina and half is in South Carolina. So, what element takes place in North Carolina? I think the north side is definitely the weaker side, but they do have most of the good parts of Fury 325, and I love that 320-foot first drop in the back row. It's a graceful moment of sustained airtime. It's a drop that really does seem to last forever. You think hyper drops are long. This is just like that, but just tack on an extra 100 feet. North Dakota. Only one kiddie coaster here, and they should be thankful they have anything in America's most obscure state. Ohio. Another blue chip coaster state. Kings Island in the southwest, Cedar Point in the north central, and you have some elite coasters in the mix here. But to me, the answer is obvious. Steel Vengeance and that Outer Banked Hill. It doesn't get much better than an Outer Bank, and the bigger it is, the better. So, you get tossed out of your seat as you're rising up and turning the wrong way, and then you stay out of your seat all the way to the ground. RMC has mastered this element. Oklahoma. We're kind of in the same boat as Colorado. We have one main park with a bunch of old and relocated coasters, and we have an Aero Shuttle Loop that's usually closed as our one claim to fame. I'm going with Diamondback and its drop out to station. Just like Sidewinder at Elitch Gardens, that is one intense quick pop of ejector, very janky and fun. Oregon. I'm not going to Enchanted Forest for this, so it's gotta be Adrenaline Peak at Oaks Park. And, as is the case with most Eurofighters, the first drop is going to be the best element. This has just a lap bar, which makes that 72-foot, 97-degree drop even better, giving the short ride a very jarring moment. Pennsylvania. Another blue chip state. You shake a stick anywhere in that state and you hit a major park. Waldameer, Hershey Park, Dorney Park, Knoebels. But I'm going to Kennywood and their standout coaster, Phantom's Revenge, and I want to highlight that finale. This is so big and fast and smooth, but once it makes its way out of that ravine, it comes up and ejects you a few times, something that's kinda scary given that lap bar. Some people call it a pool noodle, and I'd say that's pretty accurate. Rhode Island. No coasters here. They literally won't fit. South Carolina. The other half of Carowinds. Having a lot more options here. You have all those Thunder Striker camelbacks. You have the ejector and hangtime moments of Copperhead Strike, but I'm going with Afterburn's Batwing. I love a good inverted Batwing, and when it dives underground, all the better. That's some rip your feet off intensity, and it beats some pretty stiff competition. South Dakota. They have a Mystical Hex, an Alpine coaster, and a kiddie coaster. So, let's just skip South Dakota. Maybe they can eventually build a dive coaster off Mount Rushmore. Tennessee. We're gonna focus on Dollywood here, and their best coaster, Lightning Rod. Even with the chain lift, it's still very good, and I used to love those twist and shout elements, but those have gotten weaker over the years. However, that quad down still hit pretty hard last year, and that's what I'm going with. 4 quick pops of airtime as the train dances down that hill. One of the coaster world's most epic finales. Texas. 2 Six Flags parks, a SeaWorld park, a couple boardwalks, and don't forget Prairie Screamer. Texas is truly loaded. I'm going with the best coaster in the state, the RMC Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and by far its best moment, the cliff dive. After bouncing around on top of that quarry wall, it loads up and flings you over. Definitely ride this in the back row. Just a powerful moment of airtime. Utah. Obviously, we're going to Lagoon, and I think you could possibly give Wicked a look, but we have to go with Cannibal and that 116-degree, 197-foot drop, taking this with just a lap bar. I mean, some of those inversions are also great, especially the Lagoon roll, but that drop is so absurd. You don't get that feeling too often, falling at that angle so exposed. It's a bucket list coaster moment. Vermont. They have 2 Alpine coasters, so we're gonna skip over them. Virginia. It's a battle between Busch Gardens and King's Dominion. You have great moments like Pantheon's backwards airtime launch, or pretty much any other element on that ride. You have Twisted Timber's triple camelback and that crazy Outer Bank turn, but I'm going with Pantherion's snappy switchbacks. I may not love this coaster as a whole, but I do love this part of the ride. It's right after that big airtime hill, diving down close to the ground, and it snaps one way, then snaps the other way, treating your body like a rag doll. Just an experience you don't get anywhere else, at least not at that speed. Washington. This is an easy one for me. You have to go to the Washington State Fair and ride Classic Coaster. This is a very smooth and fun ride, generally mild, but after the first turnaround, it has a twisted drop that just yonks you down in the back row. So violent and out of place on a coaster like this, but I love it, and it makes this coaster legendary. West Virginia. I've never ridden a coaster here, and their one premier park is Camden Park, and their one big coaster is Big Dipper. And based on the POV, it looks like the best element is that big drop after the turnaround. Maybe it offers nothing, maybe it offers good airtime, who knows, but it's the best looking part of this nearly 70-year-old coaster. Wisconsin. We got Little America, we got the solid wooden collection of Mount Olympus, and we also have Bay Beach. And if you've been there and ridden Zippin' Pippin, you know about the Ejector Death Hill. Just like Classic Coaster, this is generally a smooth and mild ride, just with one insane out-of-character moment. It's not a twisted drop on Zippin' Pippin, it's an innocent-looking bunny hop. Just for some reason, this one sends you to the moon, and if you don't know about it going in, you have no idea of its power and it'll stun you. Last one, Wyoming. Only one alpine coaster here, so Wyoming doesn't get to play. Sorry to end on that note, but that's the way the alphabet goes. So, that's a wrap on every state's best element. Let me know what you think about my picks, and if you have any other ideas for any of these states, sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.